Welcome back to Focal Figures, where today I'm going to be doing another WWF Hasbro figure unboxing video, and this one is nearly, but not quite, going to complete Series 1. So the real Hasbro fans will know that there are 3 figs left from my Series 1 lineup. So there are 12 in total. I currently have 9 out on the table, which is a real pain when you're trying to set them up and there's like tag teams you need to keep together, and trying to get 9 in a row just doesn't work. But anyway, I have 9 on the table, and I have 3 that I still need to get. And if you are really up to speed on who's in what series of the Hasbros, you'll know that 2 of those 3 are very hard to come by figures, especially now. I mean, they have become very hard to come by figures. So the one of the 3 that wasn't that hard to come by, and I've had for a while now, just waiting for someone else to unbox in the same video, is this guy, is Jake the Snake. One of my favourites as a kid, man. Like, one, even though he was a heel, even though he was a bad guy, my memories of him are as being a bad guy. This guy was such a big part of growing up, such a big part of being a wrestling fan when you're at primary school. And this figure, man, everybody had this figure, and you needed to have this figure because it was such an iconic figure. As I say, I had this one for months. I actually won it as a raffle prize in a very kind of low end raffle. I think it was Planet Hasbro actually, that I won it in. And I've sat in it for months just waiting for one of the other guys I need. Well, I was hoping to get all of the guys I need, but it's now looking like that's going to be very difficult. But yeah, so this is one of the missing pieces of Series 1, and one that I have been looking forward to opening for a long time. So here comes Jake. If I can get him open. Yes. So there's more of that tape, man. That's becoming like a regular feature, the tape that's stuck to the inside of the card. I don't know what the reason for that was. We see it a lot, like yellowed tape inside the card. Oh, that's tape from the card, but that's not. That came off of Damian, looks like. Anyway, let's have a look at this. There's so much to unpack here, man. So Damian the Snake is the accessory. This was unbelievable. When you were a kid, having this snake was just absolutely awesome. It just made it so much more fun to play with. He's wrapped in cellophane or something. Oh, it's really sticky. Anyway, yeah, this was just like this. When you look at the figure itself, such a basic figure. You know, it's got the punch action, but at the same time, such an amazing figure as well. Such a figure that it was never left on the shelf. When you were playing with your fig feds, when you were recreating the matches in your living room, he was always involved. Jake was always involved, probably because he was one of the main heels in the Federation at the time. But just having this guy and having the Snake as well, having Damian with him, I mean, this was probably, I don't know if I'm maybe exaggerating here by saying the highlight of the series. Nah, that's my exaggeration saying it was a highlight of the series, but this just made the series for me, like, because this is Series 1. So this is the one that, you know, it has to be a success or you don't get a Hasbro line. And how many kids, when they got this Jake the Snake figure with the snake, I mean, let's not gloss over the fact that is a pretty good resemblance to Jake the Snake Roberts. That looks a lot like him. I mean, physique-wise it does, facially it does. That's a good attempt at Jake Roberts. But to have the Snake, to have Damian, and be able to recreate all like the classic, the Macho Man tied in the ropes. Well, even though it wasn't a snake, it was a cobra, not a python that done that. But having the snake there, I mean, you can just dump him on the opponents. You know, you can have the snake lying on top of the opponents after. I mean, that just made playing with your wrestling figure so much better. And I mean, as I say, everybody had a Jake. Everybody loved their Jake, and it would have made people more excited for the next wave coming out. But Jake the Snake Roberts, man, that is iconic. And just look at that. Just look at how that sits with the snake around his neck, through his hand. It's perfect. Holding the tail like that in his hand, snake's head bouncing on his punching arm. That is a piece of art. That is absolutely exceptional for a 1990 released action figure. I think that's awesome. I mean, as I say though, such a basic figure. The design isn't spectacular. You know, it's not as if they've went to town on the deco and the tights or the boots or anything like that. But still, just works, man. Just awesome. So happy to have him, and he looks in really nice shape. The card and the bubble were in good shape actually. Obviously, it's a Spanish card, but there was no dings or pops or anything like that. So yeah, he's come out of the packet absolutely mint even, and oh, just delighted, man. Just absolutely thrilled to have him in the collection. Love the fact that I've got Jake there, and tempting. Even just looking at him there, just tempting to just recreate the scene where the rest of the guys here all run. I mean, it was Andre that ran out of a Royal Rumble when he brought the snake in, knocked himself over the top rope because Jake came in with the snake. And you can just see like these guys all just scattering out of the way because here's Jake with Damian just standing in the middle of the ring, making everyone else run for the hills. That's awesome. It's so tempting just to start playing with them. But anyway, we won't because there's another one to open up as well. So yeah, there's Jake. Absolutely delighted with that. But so as I said, the other two that I need, probably not a secret at this stage. If you're watching this video, you probably know who's in series 1 of the Hasbros. So there are two that I don't have now, or two that I need to have mint loose, and there's only one that I've got here. So one of them is Hulk Hogan. Yeah, the original Hulk Hogan, the Gorilla Press Slam Hulk Hogan, which is not only a figure I need for series 1, he's the only Hulk Hogan I need. Literally the only Hulk Hogan I need. I have the other 3 Hulk Hogans that I've taken off card, and I also have a mail-away Hogan as well now that I recently picked up from another collector, but I don't have Gorilla Press Slam Hulk Hogan. I don't have him mint on card, don't have him loose, and he's becoming so expensive. I've been watching a few on eBay, but they just go for silly money. But the other guy that I need for series 1 is just as big a headliner as Hulk Hogan, is Macho Man Randy Savage. Now, I'm sure there are people watching this video thinking, "Oh my God, he's not going to open that, is he?" So let me give you some context. So yeah, this is a figure that goes for big money these days. Even on Spanish cards, the price is going through the roof. I mean, these are going for several hundreds on these cards. I didn't think I was going to get one. I thought this is probably going to be, I'm going to be priced out of this. I've left it too long to get a macho and one that I can open up. However, what happened here was I bought a job lot of figures, a job lot of mint on card figures for several £100s. It cost me a fair whack. And what I managed to do was I managed to sell off the other ones individually and make my money back almost. I didn't cover the entire cost, but I got it to the level where I'm very happy with what I've ended up paying for having this one left over. It's a fraction of what this would cost me if I was to go and buy it on my own as a single figure. But as you can see, the card is actually not too bad. So I probably could sell this for, well over 100 anyway, I'd imagine. I probably could sell this on and make money on it. But then, why would I? I wouldn't be able to open one then. It's not a terrible card. It's got a couple of creases, but the one thing I think would probably affect the value is, I don't know if you can see, but it has some kind of like oil splatter type thing on it. Same in the back. I don't know how that happens, if it's like maybe like dampness or mold or something. But yeah, that kind of takes away, I think, from the card. So yeah, as I say, I sold the other ones that I bought in the job lot and close to made my money back. So I'm not too bothered about how much this figure is worth, because all it's really worth to me is to have a mint loose in the collection. So here's Randy. If I can get into his bubble. Don't want to tear the card too much. There we go. And here he is. Oh, man, I absolutely love when this happens. When you take him out and he just looks better out of the bubble than he did in it. That just looks so minty. So minty. This is fast becoming the best video I've made for a while. Absolutely love Jake. Love Jake to bits as a figure, as a wrestler. Randy Savage, the exact same. This has to be the best Savage figure in the Hasbro line. It just has to be. I mean, there's obviously the Macho King, Macho Man variant one, then there's the Cowboy Macho with the entrance gear, but this is the best Macho, is it not? It has to be. I mean, really quite a basic looking Macho, but such an iconic look. I mean, that is the WrestleMania look, the Ricky Steamboat match at WrestleMania, the orange tights, the headband with the sunglasses. That is just Macho Man Randy Savage. That's probably slightly before my time in terms of when I started watching wrestling, and when I was the Cowboy match was probably more lined up with what I remember of Randy Savage. But as a wrestling fan, you kind of go back and you watch the tapes and look at the magazines and things, and this is an image that I'm so familiar with Randy Savage. But this figure, man, this is a nice figure, and it looks almost flawless as it came out of that package there. It looks near mint, almost perfect. And that is exactly how I like them for my mint figure collection, mint loose figure collection. There's really just not much. When you look at who's in the Series 1 lineup, you think, oh, some cool figures in there. But when you actually have them on the table in front of you, these are awesome. Like, these are so much better. Maybe it's just nostalgia going crazy in my head, but why would you want these elites and ultimates with the interchangeable heads and hands and stuff? This is what you want when you're a kid, man. You want this type of action figure to play with. Someone that can splash off the top rope like that and just look like the coolest guy in the world when he's doing it. That's perfect. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't think I had Macho, this Macho anyway. I definitely had the Macho King, Macho Man, but I don't know which one it was I had, or I've probably had them both. But I think, to be honest, I think Series 1 was slightly before my time. I think I started playing with them around about Series 3, I think, because I first remember having, the first figures I remember having were like the tag team, like LOD, Bushwhackers, and they came out with like Series 2, I suppose. But yeah, I just remember like a lot of the guys that I had in the early days being kind of Series 2, Series 3, and then eventually sort of went back and picked up a couple of these guys, like that Big Boss Man I had. I definitely had Brutus. So yeah, probably actually that makes sense because those were re-released as well. Anyway, I'm thinking out loud now and just digressing off. But this is a figure that, as I say, I don't think I had him, but I would have loved to have had him. And I remember him being about. I remember people having him. I remember him from the box, the ring box artwork as well. And just thinking that's such a cool looking figure, man. Randy Savage. And again, I've had him before, and on card even, and sold him and swapped him. But this one's going nowhere. This is a near perfect, a near mint Randy Savage. And he is very quickly shooting to the top of my favourite Hasbros when I look at him there out on the table with all the rest of the lineup. Man, that's awesome. So Jake and Randy, even like just the fact that them both together, as I say, Randy Savage and Jake Snake have like such an intertwined history. And that match where Jake had Randy tied up in the ropes and he had the cobra biting his arm. And such an iconic image, such an iconic match. And it's like a terrifying image from your childhood. We were like, I don't know, 7 or 8 year old watching that, being terrified, thinking, oh my God, that snake's going to eat that guy. But obviously that's like now in our 30s, still have that image burned into our brains and bringing back such a nostalgic pop when I'm opening up Jake and Randy and their Series 1 figures. But really cool. When you watch, if you watch Joe Rogan's podcast, Jake the Snake Roberts is on that years ago now, like a few years back now, but he talks about the build up to that match and what was going to happen on in the changing rooms, what they were saying and what Randy was saying. He does a really good Randy Savage impression about the conversation they had in the changing rooms. It's really interesting to hear everything that went on behind the scenes in the build up to that spot where the cobra bit Randy in the arm. But anyway, before the video runs on too much, that's that for this video. I mean, gutted not to have Hulk as well, but at the same time, so happy with the two I have opened up. I'm absolutely thrilled with Randy Savage and my Jake, and so happy that they're now in my mint loose collection. And now that we're getting to the stage where I've almost got everybody, it's so cool to see them all together, like lined up on the table, just really complimenting each other, I suppose. And there's so many memories coming back of seeing these kind of gimmicks, these kind of characters in the ring next to each other. But yeah, so hopefully we'll get Hulk at a later date. Maybe not though, because as I say, his price is skyrocketing. But hopefully we'll get him at a later date and complete the series. And then at that point, I might have to go back and sort of do upgrades, because as you can maybe see, axe over here slightly sun faded, so I might have to try and find myself a better axe. But that's for another day. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you did, like, comment, share, subscribe. Stay safe. We'll speak soon.